And hello, my name is Darren. I'm a dad. I'm an airline pilot. I am a husband of a scientist. It is Tuesday evening, June 17th at 6:01 p.m. and I am live. This is a very random live. When do I go live? Yes. Um, I am not a professional streamer. I am just a guy, and I go live when I can. It's been a while since I've been live, like over a week and a half, because life gets in the way and flying gets in the way. I've had quite a bit of flying this month on reserve with the intent of racking up my hours so I can have the end of the month off for vacation, which was not. I have the vacation days, but it's going to end up not happening. But it is what it is. Hey, Alex, H, Nick, ZR1X today. I have not. I did see the new Nissan Leaf, though, and that looks pretty darn cool. Has plugs on both sides. Hey, Captain Mickey Mouse. You got back from Portland Jetport from DFW. Does that mean the Portland Jetport? That's Maine, not Oregon. Hey, Mr. Aviator. Mr. Taylor. Congratulations. No more waiting to see if you have to go back to the sim or not. I think it's pretty common to consolidate, but it is nice to consolidate to one, get your training wheels off so you can land in a higher crosswind and all that other stuff. And two, to have that process done. And next, of course, is moving to DFNW, which is a big thing. Driving to work versus commuting to work is a huge lifestyle change. Today, on my trip back from London, both the FO and the IOE captain both commuted. The captain commuted to Kansas City. The FO, he is LA based. He's here for training, so he has a guaranteed ticket home, but he still doesn't live here. And it's a whole different world commuting as far as, especially on a wide body, flying London to Dallas and then going home. Because right now in London, it is midnight 03. We all got on the van this morning at 6 a.m. So it's been already an 18-hour day. But they should be home by now because we got in today at 12:30. So everybody should be home by now, but it's still a crazy long day. What's the chance your airline send you to Portland Jetport? I have been to Maine on the Airbus. If I go up to Maine right now on the 777, it's going to be Banger, and it's going to be a mechanical or a medical. You think your major airline would hire me to be a pilot if I'm unable to work on a certain day of the week because of religion? Nope. And Mr. Pitosa, that's a great question, and it's a valid question because some people have religious days where they need to be off. For example, I flew with one guy at my previous regional, very religious man, lives out in West Texas, and he was a senior captain, but he always bid to be off on Sundays. Like, Darren, I ain't working on Sundays. I don't care what happens, I'm not working on Sundays. And so for him, church is very important, so he's able to hold that. But when you first start flying an airline, it doesn't matter if you have any kind of religious obligations. You're working when they say you work or when you can hold those days off. And there's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. Now, if it's super important to you, you can call in sick, I guess, but it will look funny if you call in sick every Sunday. And on that note, like airlines track your attendance. And if you call in sick every opening day, every year for the Rangers game, they're going to see a pattern. You call in sick every 4th of July, they're going to see a pattern. So be careful with that. Already looking at places and planning to move this fall. That's awesome, Mr. Taylor. Hey, Darren, in your state for a work trip for United. Nice. It's a nice day this week for weather. Running out of commuter hotels every month, and crash pad life is not for me. I have never been in a crash pad. I debated getting one when I was based in Chicago on the CRJ at Eagle. Never had to get one. And I've been lucky my entire career. Again, when I got hired here, the new hires were going to New York, LA, and I think Miami. No, New York, LA, Philadelphia, and Dallas Super 80. A lot of people had to go, and then that was my new hire class. A few weeks after my class started, there was no more Dallas Super 80. A lot of people are going to New York and LA as new hires. And that's crash pad if you live in Dallas, right? A lot of flow-throughs, And people got hired at Eagle, Dallas, live in Dallas, right? So now that they're having to commute to New York, and for New York at my airline, you cover all three airports: Newark, JFK, and LaGuardia, and it's your responsibility to go between those airports. Out in LA, they cover LA, Santa Ana, and Ontario. Which, if you're from Northern California or Southern California, you know Ontario is nowhere near LA, really, right? They also cover San Diego, but for San Diego trips, the airline has to get you down there. But otherwise, if you're LA based, you cover all three airports. Now, if the airline had you start a trip in Ontario, they have to get you back to Ontario. So if you cover a trip out of Ontario, you fly for 4 days, you end up flying Phoenix to LA to end the trip. The airline owes you a ride back to Ontario, to get your car or whatever. But yeah, that can be rough. Good evening. What IMAS would you recommend for sleeping on the plane? Mr. Bennett, it is one on Amazon. I can't put stuff on the screen, but it's a concave eye mask that has like eye holes. Have long eyes, but eye holes for your eyes that help your eyes, your eyelashes not hit anything. But a good thick and comfy eye mask. For me, it has eye holes in it as well, and adjustable. Mr. Bailey, congratulations. Hope you enjoyed your first lesson. Hope you didn't get air sickness, and hope it was enjoyable. I'm sure it went by faster than you thought it should go by, faster than you thought it would. During I saw a trip, 777-200 had a divert DFW to Madrid into JFK. Thought of you. That's unfortunate. But me, I haven't had divert yet on 777. New to DFW area, any good swimming lakes nearby? Skyline, I am the wrong person to ask for that. I don't go into nature's toilet. I guess I have no idea. Joe Pool Lake, I don't go into lakes at all. Ever, ever, ever. Darren, curious, what are you hearing about AA's plan for 777-200ER? I see the oldest one is 26 years old, but don't see any obvious replacement in the pipeline. I haven't heard anything. I'm told they'll be around for another 10 years. But again, a 26-year-old 777 has fewer cycles on it than even a 10-year-old Airbus. Because the average stage length for a 777-200 is 10, 11 hours, right? Versus an Airbus might be an hour and a half, 2 hours. And a cycle means takeoff and landing. How many times is that plane being pressurized and taking off and landing? So some of our planes might have 5,000 cycles, but like 50,000 hours. Versus a Airbus might have 5,000, oh, have more than that. Probably has 20,000 cycles and like 40,000 hours. So it has a lot fewer cycles on the big airplanes because of how long the average flight is. Have you ever had to do a PAR or LD approach during my career? I have, Nick, exactly one time. And I remember this approach because it was unique. We were going to Abilene, Texas, as a big maintenance base for American Eagle, and we're landing to the north. And at the time, they have two runways there. And the westernmost runway, the ILS was out of service. They had no on-ramp approach to it at the time. And the easterly runway had a localizer approach. What was wrong with that? Something was wrong with it that we couldn't use it. But we could do a PAR approach to get us down, and we did that there, and it was unique. And we only needed to go down below the clouds, and then we could see the runway. One time ever. What car do you want to drive at the Barcelona Auto Show? Oh, the most one was that Zeekr. Was it Zeekr? The DB9, that fancy one. It just came out. It looks like a Porsche Taycan. But it wasn't for sale. It wasn't for test driving then. How do you manage spending time with your family while also working? Ian, it is a chore, a task that my wife works hard on and I work hard on. We have to do a lot of communication. It helps that I'm based where I live. So when I'm home, I am home. Because I can't work from home, right? But I don't spend time commuting to and from work. So I maximize my time at home, so I have to leave for the airport. When I'm home, I'm home. But it takes a lot of communication. It does help that the plane I'm on now, I have more days off than I would have on a narrow body. But a lot of it is communication. And like before I pick up a trip, before I bid for my schedule, I ask my wife, hey, what do you need me to be around for next month as far as kid events? Also, I was wondering what it's like flying during the daylight savings changeover. It's a big deal. Airlines typically we have longer overnights, so we'll have an extra hour overnight most of the time. Otherwise, not that big of a deal. Have you ever had to fly to Tampa region? Carlos, I've flown to Tampa a few times on the 80 and the Airbus. ATC is ZW. Is there anything us controllers do you like or dislike? You know, Matt, I always like I flew in today on the arrival, and I kept thinking, well, I was pilot monitoring. I was pilot flying today, but as relief pilots, I didn't get to talk to you guys. For us, we always want to land on the west side of the airport. One thing I don't like, and any of us like, and I don't think you guys always do it on purpose, is when you come in from the northwest, especially. Um, we're coming in, and you'll have us go down to 3,000, and you'll tell us instead of maintaining 3,000, oh, and by the way, you'll be leaving the Class Bravo airspace for 4 miles. Well, and the issue is, I think we get dropped off on the arrival at 230 knots. So we descend most time at 230 knots. Well, if we're going to 3,000, we can't be doing 230 below the Class Bravo shelf. So we think you're doing it for sequencing, but it's kind of annoying as a airline pilot to be brought in below the Class Bravo airspace and kind of be told that as we're descending. That's a little bit of annoyance. Hey, from Tulsa Base. Thank you, Luis. How many bases are there? A lot. Hey, Mr. Blacksmith. LA, Phoenix, Dallas, Chicago, Philly, New York, Boston, DC, and Miami. I think there's 9. If you live in one state but commute to another for tax purposes, I don't know, Nicholas. It has to be based where you live. It's where you live. I've been based in Chicago for 4 months, and I didn't get any taxes from Chicago. So I think it's based where you live. Taxes are based where you live. Let's see if I check out Mr. Weems. Get that windshield clean, Mr. Prado. Congratulations, sir. I can't do Mr. Weems' accent. But hey, dude, knuckles to you. Especially for a CFI check ride, dude. Yeah, that's nice. Congratulations. Have you ever done a back course ILS? Learned about it in radio navigation. Apparently, it's only legal in the United States. Mr. Gunter, I see the umlauts in your name. I have done a back course ILS, I think once or twice. And it depends on the airplane. On the CRJ, we had to press a button for back course. On every other airplane I've flown, no, MD-80, I think we have something weird too. But most planes, we can set the front course and the plane figures it out. Was it easy or hard for you to transition to foreign ATC physiology mid-flight? Phraseology? No, you get used to it. Like leaving London, the flight level started at 7,000 feet, so you climb and maintain 6,000, then climb and maintain flight level 80. And a lot of times going to London, I'll still say flight level 240 for 16,000, and even though it's supposed to be flight level 160. They correct us a lot. It is what it is. Do you prefer the Airbus side stick or Boeing yoke? Airbus side stick by a long shot. C5 says I'll be soloing within the next 3 flights. Super excited. Hey, Adam G. So before you solo, which is a very exciting moment in your career, it's very exciting. Make sure you know how to do a go around. And I say this a lot to people when they're solo because it's a big deal. You know, when you're soloing, even as a student pilot, you are PIC. And if it doesn't look right, smell right, feel right, just go around. You don't have the skill set yet to fix a botched approach. You don't have the skill set yet if you're too high to fix it, or especially if you're too low to fix it. Just go around. And when I say know how to do a go around, and this is a good way to study, by the way, put on the most annoying music you can't stand. Like if you can't stand country music, put on some Garth Brooks, Sammy Kershaw on a long playlist in your ears that annoys the heck out of you. Then throw a ball against the wall and study. Do your flows. Do a go around. Because if you can recite stuff and move your hands around while bouncing a ball along a wall, which gets you distracted while being annoyed by this stupid music in your ears, you can do it in the actual airplane when you're nervous and shaken and hot and uncomfortable. It is super easy to study in a nice, quiet, comfortable, peaceful room. In an airplane, it's a totally different environment. Since airlines prefer nepotism, will you adopt me? I've heard that nepotism thing, but then the guy I flew with today, and my most recent trip, took care of him on my airline on 777. His son was an envoy for a year and a half, 2 years. Couldn't get hired by mainline AA directly. They wasn't calling him. He went to Southwest instead. 200 under Bravo for VFR and IFR traffic, but only applied to VFR. I believe it's IFR too. Correct me if I'm wrong. Any advice for instrument? Passed my PPL last week. Hey, Mr. Ahmad, dude, knuckles to you for instrument. If you have any kind of basic laptop, doesn't matter how fancy it is, get X-Plane or Flight Sim 2020 or 2024 on it. Practice your IFR approaches on here. Practice and just put yourself in IMC all the time. And practice pressing buttons, setting up the approach, briefing the approach over and over again. It doesn't burn any 100 low lead on your computer. When do you think is the best time to apply for a cadet program? Do you think it's a good idea to interview with a different airline to experience it, then do your interview with your dream airline? So cadet programs came around after my time, right? I would say start applying whenever you meet the men's, whenever you know that's where you want to go. As far as like having a cheap airline to practice with, I'm watching my kid out there doing some weird stuff. I don't think it's necessary. I mean, you can always opt for that, but I don't think you need to do that kind of thing. I have never flown, I never met Captain Steve. And that's all I'll say about that. Any suggestions on a good flight school in the DFW area? Mr. Lathan, I don't recommend any certain flight school. And here's the reason why. I went to flight school, I'm old, 18, almost 19 years ago. It's been a while, right? I haven't been to a flight school since. So my experience at my flight school was great for me. I had no complaints. You might have an issue with it. Here's what I do recommend. I recommend going and visiting at least 3 flight schools. One you're really interested in. One you think is sketchy and not quite sure about. And some other one, right? And boots on the ground, take a tour. And then if you can, talk to current students. If you can, hang out in the lobby. Just sit in the lobby for an hour and watch how things are going on. What's the vibe? Can you see yourself learning there? Because let's be honest, we all learn different ways, and what might be great for me might be horrible for you. So, a bit of void, yeah. How do you keep yourself from getting sleepy while piloting? Well, one, proper rest. So again, let's just kind of review my whole day. I woke up last night at, let me get this straight, 10 p.m., 10:50 p.m. Dallas time. And we departed London at 2 a.m. Dallas time. So I went to bed last night in London at 8 p.m. Woke up at 4:50 a.m., which is 10:50 p.m. Dallas time. So I had a good night's rest. Me being a relief pilot, I know I'm going to bed right away. So I had a good night's rest in London, for the most part. I woke up around 1:30 in the morning for a little while because we all do that. But got on the airplane, and thankfully I can sleep on the airplane. So we took off at 8:30 or so, 8:40. I was back in the bunks by 9:10. I had a 4-hour break, so I was able to sleep in the bunks quite a bit. Then went up, and then I woke up from my break. I went downstairs, had some coffee, went up front, had a Coke Zero, had some carbohydrates, and got myself going, and lots of water. So I've learned what works best for me on the wide body, which was different than what I did on the narrow body. But for me, I'm all about rest, especially on overnights. I always want to see a new city, but primary for me is rest. Okay, but isn't Flo from Maholion closer to 5 years? The guy's doing my on interview at 5 year plus waiting for Flo. Flo goes up and down. Flow only is flowing when mainline is hiring. If mainline stalls hiring, economic issues happen, then no flow. Flow is a great insurance policy also. Flow is, and I tell people this, and I am exceptionally average in every possible way there is to be average. That is me. When you get hired by your regional, your first year, you're on probation. You keep your nose clean, you follow the rules, you show up every day, you smile, you wear your hat, and you do what the company tells you to do. After that first year, you're off probation, my personal opinion is you owe nothing else to that airline. That is not, unless that is your forever airline. If it is, go for it. But if your goals are to go to mainline, your new job is to beat your flow date. So after your first year in a regional, start volunteering with the union. If you're in the youth camps, volunteer with youth camps. Volunteer with aviation camps. I spent 2 of my days off last week. 2 full days, 7 to 4 p.m. volunteering with a youth camp. I'm not going anywhere, but I like doing that kind of thing. But that's what you can do to help make yourself more than just another pilot on a resume. Last week during my volunteer work, we went to my airline operations center, and the lady in charge of all hiring at my airline was there. Again, you want to get a job where I work? Volunteer at the youth camps like I just did. Again, I have a job here. I'm not going anywhere, but you can get insight to the airline that you want to be at by volunteering with this youth camp that we went all over the airline. But she said they have 20,000 resumes on file. 20,000 resumes on file. They're hiring like maybe 1,200 pilots this year. How do you stand out from the other 19,999 pilots on resumes on file? There's many ways. One of them is being more than just a great pilot that loves flying, that shows up every day, that has $1,500 or $2,000 of turbine PIC and no accidents or incidents. Cool. What else makes you stand out? Well, volunteering with youth camps, by being a volunteer, especially with multiple camps, that shows that you are a good ambassador. You're okay being out with the public one-on-one. That they know that, hey, this guy or this gal is okay interacting with people that they don't know. And maybe, when I'm in my uniform, I am a representative of the airline, whether I want to be or not. If I'm in my uniform and I'm on my way to the airport and I stop at Subway or McDonald's or pumping gas, especially in this town, people know what an airline pilot looks like for my airline. I'm always being watched. So by being a volunteer, they know you're okay being watched, and you're not gonna, maybe you're not gonna be so kind of a loose cannon. My whole point is, after your first year at the airline, volunteer. Go to every single airline convention you can. Shake hands, do interview prep, and try to beat your flow date. I learned to fly with 3 other gentlemen. They all did this recipe. They all left the regionals after 4 to 5 years. It took me 10 because I didn't start following this advice till I was there for 6 years. So, all right. Sorry, I talk a lot. When you first started flying, was there an adjustment physically with the altitude or any motion sickness you went through? And there was a little bit, only because I learned to fly in the Texas summers, and I used to eat Taco Bell after going to work, and a Burrito Supreme does not sit well with Texas heat and bumping around. But beyond that, I haven't had any issues. Can you explain Class G airspace? I'm training for my PPL. I can't explain it right now, but that's something your CFI should help you explain. Will 777 be used more on domestic flights since international flights are not as full this year? No, they're very full. My flight from London today was full. Will a 2-hour commute via train from Orlando to Miami be too long for wide-body operations? You can live wherever you want to. Now, 2-hour commute, I guess that's by plane. People do it all the time. It's a very high density commute, meaning a lot of people commute from Orlando to Miami. I have a backup, but some people commute from Seattle down to Dallas to fly international. Some people commute from Hawaii to Dallas to fly international. It's wherever you want to commute from. Hey Darren, it's Darren. See, Mr. Keast, you always get my full and undivided attention because you have a very intelligent set of parents. Your parents not only produced you being a wonderful young man, but also named you correctly in a great name. What's your opinion on the aviation experts rush to pump out content following airline incidents? Mr. Keast, I think it is doing a disservice to the dead and to the pilots that passed away. No one has the actual data from the accident or incident except for the investigators. Now, if they want to read the final investigation report and then talk about it, cool. But and this is my personal opinion, by just looking at some random YouTube videos and making all these assumptions, I think it's really crappy. I never, ever armchair quarterback, Sunday morning quarterback, any aviation accident or incident. Because I don't have the data. I have no idea what was going on in that flight deck. I have no idea what was going on with that airplane. And just to look at a YouTube video and make all these assumptions for points and for clicks and views, I think it's really, really crappy. Darren, appreciate you. Could you sum up Air India crash in one sentence? I have no data on it. I have zero training in accident incident training. Zero training in it. I have 0 hours in a 787. I have 0 pieces of data on that. I have seen 0 accident or incident reports on that. More than one sentence. My operator in Korea, most of my time came from military, the Republic of Korea Air Force. I did my military service that went into ab initio school too long ago now. It was a long time ago. But thank you for your service to your military. Only recently, flight school became more common with ab initio. I think ab initio is coming to the United States soon too, before I retire. Last time I was in a live, I soloed, and I just passed my PPL oral last week, but thunderstorms put on my flying. Mr. Overbay, first, I think the oral is the harder part. Like, flying is easy. I like flying more than oral. But hey, congratulations on passing the oral. Oral, I think, is the harder part, in my opinion. You're halfway there. I'm a fire dude with right at $1,500 in ATP. Should I be concerned with hiring or not so much given my experience? Full frost, I would not be concerned with it. What I would do, I bet guys in your unit are probably at my airline. I would talk to them. I would absolutely go to RTAG. I would absolutely pay for interview prep, and you should be in a good spot. Have you ever gotten sick in the middle of a trip? How do you handle it? I have not gotten so sick I couldn't fly. If I did, I would just call in sick, because it's hard, but it's easier to call in sick in London than it is to try to go to work and either cause a diversion or an incident or accident later on. So, but if I'm sick, I'm sick. We're all human. Hey, from Air Traffic Controller, I'm wondering how you minimize fatigue when you have short turns, minimum time between trips. Well, we have federal airline minimums between trips, right? And we have a contract that has minimum time. So on the narrow body, for example, if I were to come in tonight and land at 6:30 right now, say I just landed, I got to the gate right now at 6:30, there's at least 10 hours, well, more than that. I think that's 10 hours before my next flight assignment. So we always have at least 10 hours of, and then in that 10 hours, that is supposed to account for 8 hours of sleep opportunity. If I'm ever too tired, I just call fatigued. Have I ever called fatigued before? Yes. Now, when I've called fatigued in the past, it's typically been at the end of a duty day, not at the beginning. But it could be at the beginning as well. But most of the time it's at the end of a duty day. Like say for example, I'm supposed to fly Dallas to LA to Dallas, and then maybe a short hop to Austin. But I get to Dallas after going to LA and back, and now they have me flying to Miami after staying for 2 more hours. I'm like, hey, I was supposed to go from Dallas to LA to Dallas and then go right away to Austin and be done at, call it 6 p.m. Now you have me sitting here 2 hours and then flying 3 hours to Miami. I wasn't rested for that, and I'll call fatigued. I had a call fatigue one time in Miami. Actually, in Miami, I was supposed to. I think I flew into Miami from somewhere, and I was from Orlando. No, wait a minute, Orlando. Anyway, I was supposed to fly Miami to Bogota, Colombia. Instead, they wanted me to sit 2 hours and fly to Manaus, somewhere in South America I've never been to before. I'm like, I wasn't rested for that. I'm supposed to be done in Bogota at like 10:30 p.m. Now they want me to go to Manaus, be there at like 1:30 a.m. No, I want me 1 a.m. I wasn't fatigued at that moment, but I knew by the time I got to Manaus, I would be fatigued. So would you think that being an Eagle Scout and volunteering as a leader of the Boy Scouts would help with hiring? That is a very good thing. And Mr. Adam G, that's a great thing. And here's how that can be a talking point, a stepping off point. When you go to these airline conventions, you get one-on-one with the recruiter. And so the recruiter is going down your resume, and the more volunteer points you have, the more opportunities you might have to have something in common with that recruiter. That recruiter might be going down, hey, Adam, nice to meet you. Okay, I see you flew here, you flew here, oh, you flew this place. Oh, you're an Eagle Scout. Dude, I was an Eagle Scout, man. And then that could be a great talking off point and a great thing to help that recruiter remember you, and it could help you actually end up getting a job at that airline, believe it or not. Hey, how's short call reserve? Mr. Schwartz, so far it's been okay. I haven't had any actual short call trips. Every trip I've had this month, I've had more than a day's notice. So I just came back from London. I left on Sunday. I knew about that trip on Saturday. Before that, I went to Barcelona. I knew that about the trip the day before, and I've been to Narita, Barcelona, and London this month. I had more than a day's notice for each one. I'm at the point now where I have 66 hours worth of credit. The most I can have for the month is 85 hours. So they can't assign me anything that has more than 18 hours and 54 minutes worth of credit. I have 7 days of reserve left, really 6 days of reserve left. I have to go to my landing sim here soon. So of my 6 days of reserve, they can only really use me for 3 of those days, and they can only really send me to Hawaii or Dublin, or a random one-off trip. So, hey, in North Carolina for my CFI training. Have my CFI check out on Friday. Do you have any final tips for me? Yeah, Tyler. Hopefully you've gone through all of your source material. You've tabbed everything. Take your time. In your oral, you've been through a lot of check rides by now. A lot of check rides. There's never a reason to rush. So go into oral and just, if they ask you a question, you know it for sure, answer it. If you're pretty sure, say, you know what, I believe it's this, and then get your source material out and say, I'm looking, and look up the answer, and just take your time. There's never a rush for an oral at all. And on the flight, just be as smooth as possible, be deliberate, and be very clear in how you speak. If you need to talk to dispatch on flight, how does that work? Does each dispatcher have their own frequency? Mr. Schwartz, great question. On the 777, we can actually call them on the phone. So we have I might cover this in a future video. We have a satellite phone, and on the 777, and it's built into our center MCDU, but we can patch. We have our headsets, of course, so I can put on my headset. I had to do this a couple flights ago to call a doctor on call, but we put on the headset, and we always have it set up for a speed dial to our dispatcher desk. We hit a button. It's extremely quiet. It's the crystal clear line. We talk directly to the dispatcher that way. And now that's for like something that's critical. If it's, every day, how's the ride? We're descending. We might get a reroute, that kind of thing. We can text message via our MCDU as well. If you get call out sick in London, do you have to cover your own hotel to your well? Nope. The airline covers my hotel. Do you have to travel with your injectable medication? My mom takes something similar, and she's worried about getting through TSA. I do not, because I always take mine on Sundays. And Sunday plus or minus a day. But I don't. I've never taken it on a trip. Hello, has he said if he's holding a line or reserved it this month? I am reserved this month. I'm line next month. On my Facebook, you'll see that I have a line next month. Do the airlines have a preference on what type of school you went to, 141 or 61? Mr. Lathan, they do not. And it's a great question. It's a valid question. But no matter if you go part 61 or 141, at the end of the journey, you get the same piece of plastic. So no matter how you do it, you get the same piece of plastic from the FAA. And nowhere on your certificate does it say what kind of flight school you went to. I'm operating to Boston tomorrow. Long 14-hour flight, 777, but have not been on it for a year and a half. Looking forward to it. Awesome. 15 hours on the return. You're not flying my airline. Oh, because you're the Korean airline. That's a long flight. Wow. But I bet your 777s have the loft up top. Like our 777-200s have a closet for our bunk beds. On our 300s, we have a loft that's actually above the first class section. Can you explain the difference between line pilot and reserve? Can you do both? A line pilot means they know all their flying schedule, where they're flying. They know in advance what days they're working, what flights they're working, their overnights. They know everything. Reserve, all they know is they have to be on call that day. They have no idea where they're going to fly. And there's also a long call and short call reserve as well. Have you experienced any major issues while flying for medical emergencies? I have. Not major. Not major. I've never had a. Well, that's a lie. I only had one medical diversion on the Airbus a long time ago. Otherwise, there's a few things we have to divert for right away. Otherwise, if it's not one of the top big four, um, then we can call a doctor on call, and then the doctor on call can make the decision on behalf of the airline whether or not we divert. What are the chances of getting Miami day one at my airline? It depends on the needs of the airline. So, but they will Miami isn't that senior, so it's I've seen it being offered. I'm gonna log into Facebook, and then let's see if I can. Every now and then they have what's called a class drop. Well, they'll announce what the openings are for that week's class. Below the line. Class drop. So the most recent class drop was in February. Well, really? February? No, that's not true. Most recent. Most recent one was. Oh, no, it's not showing me what I want to see. Really? Facebook search leaves much to be desired. February, March. Well, one from March anyway. They had LA, LaGuardia, Miami, Phoenix, LA, LaGuardia, Chicago, and Philly. And I said some cities twice because they had like LA 737 and LA Airbus. They had LaGuardia 737 and LaGuardia Airbus. So, but they had Miami 737, 2 spots open. So there's always a chance. And I got about 10 more minutes left. Does the pressure of getting rest on your layovers ever impact my sleep quality? It used to, and it did a lot when I first started flying red eyes. The very first red eye I ever did was Bogota to Dallas, and I had never done it before. And I was so stressed out about sleeping that I slept okay, but not great. Um, I've since learned how to make myself sleep, and for me, it is getting tired. So I'll go for a 3 to 4 mile walk, or most times it's a walk. Very rarely, I hate saying on treadmill. Treadmills bore the heck out of me. 3 to 4 mile walk, but before I leave the hotel room, I make the room super cold. 3 to 4 mile walk, get some lunch, no caffeine all day long. I'm a big coffee person. Come back to the hotel room, I shower, I pack up my bag, pack up my room most of the way, put on earplugs, actually the Bluetooth headphones. I listen to podcasts while I sleep, put on an eye mask, and then I set 3 alarms, including my Apple Watch that will shake my wrist, and then I sleep pretty well that way. Why do you choose your Equinox? What's your Rivian service appointment for? And could the service facility install the running boards? Equinox, because it was cheap. I wanted a very cheap car, and it's like $180 a month, 0 down. Rivian service appointment is to fix a scratch they did on my last appointment. Fix a rattle in the door. And fix a scratch they put on my center console last time they had my car. And they will not install running boards because they don't install third-party equipment. With hiring, will it make a big difference from having an aviation-related associate degree versus bachelor's? In my personal opinion, no. Yes, kiddo. Are you looking at me? No. I don't. I think a degree is a degree, but that's all I know. I've never been on a hiring board. What would another pilot need to do to get on your no pairing list? Mostly just not be a fun person to be around. Like, and I'm not saying they should be funny and people. This job is very easy at its core. Some people make it difficult, like people who don't respect my opinion as a pilot or a person. Yeah, um, or being rude in general. Like, I think I'm very easy to get along with. Well, I've been called like Parmesan cheese before. There, you get Parmesan cheese. You can go on almost anything. You get along with everybody, which I do. But I'm full of people that don't respect my opinion, don't ask for my opinion, or will discuss the whole politics thing and not listen to my side. I'm okay talking to politics. I'm fine with that. But if you won't listen to my side or listen to reason, no. Or they speak on stuff that is not factually true. And when I bring up facts, they think I'm wrong. Do you know what can disqualify you from an FAA first class physical or similar to a DOT physical? Well, Mr. Lathan, I have no medical training whatsoever. For you, I recommend going to leftseat.com. Left, like your left arm. Seat, like the seat. Leftseat.com. How different is the 777-200 handle compared to the 300 ER? Very differently. Especially the landing. It's hard to screw up a landing on 300. On a 200, it's much easier. The 300 is so long. So long. The 200 is a little bit more nimble than the 300 is. Do you see airlines adding on the requirement of a degree again? Nope. I think it'll be a differentiator, but I don't. Here's my personal opinion on that whole degree thing. If you want a degree, get a degree. But you take a set of twins, and they go through flight school at the exact same time. This twin wants a college degree. This twin doesn't. So they both have all their flight hours, right? Let's say they both got the CFIs. This one goes get a college degree and CFIs a little bit. This one goes in CFIs, gets to Part 135, gets their hours, and now they're at 1,500 hours in like 2 more years of flying. In 2 years, this person only has 2 years to go for their degree. So now they get this person over here is at 1,500 hours. They're airline ready, no degree. I guarantee you they can get a job in that 2 years that this person's still waiting to get their degree and then their hours. But if you want a degree, get a degree. I think if you get a degree just to have a degree, I think it's silly. I think, in my personal opinion, if you were my kid, I'd say if you want to be a pilot, cool. You're 18 years old, cool. First, you need to go live. You need to go learn a trade. If you don't want to get a degree and you want to be a pilot, learn a trade. Go get a job where you can survive and make your own money, pay your own bills. Know what it's like to be scared out of your mind on the couch trying to figure out how you're going to pay your bills. Live. Save some money. Have a skill that you can use to make money with. A year or two, right? Now you're 20 years old. Then start flight training. By the time you're 23, you have lived, you have some money, you're 23, get your ATP, and you go on. That is my personal opinion. If you want to do it another way, go for it. There is no perfect way to do this, to get to your career, by the way. We recommend going straight for my pilot license or getting my degree that is fully paid for, but nothing to do with aviation. I feel like getting a degree is delaying me to becoming a senior. Again, it's the same thing. If you want a degree, get a degree. Again, my wife has a master's degree in DNA forensics. I have a bachelor's in journalism. I will never use my degree. So ramp controllers, they are not FAA controllers, I don't think. Do you know how one would get that job? I don't know. They are not FAA controllers. I have no idea how to get that job. I know I have 1 or 2 of my followers, my supporters are a ramp controller. Maybe they'll chime in here. So why did departure fixes are different out of DW? Why are departure fixes I do? What do you mean by that? I can't read that, honey. Say it. No. I'm almost done. Thank you for everything, First Officer Bird. I really appreciate it. Mr. Schwartz, you're very welcome. How many hours do you need to be a captain? I can be a captain right now on 777. I don't have the seniority to do it. Got it. So if I ever get hired by AA and fly with you, talk about Taylor Swift, hated for Charlotte, and love for EVs. And hate for Dunkin' Donuts coffee as well. Dunkin' is better than Starbucks. See? Oh, wait, whoa. Blocked. They're going to answer big question. When one flies multiple sectors a day, narrow body, and there's a decent amount of downtime between flights, can one take a nap on the plane? Mr. Muhammad, in theory, but oftentimes we don't keep the same airplane. So say if you're flying LA to Dallas to Philly, even if you're still flying a 321 the whole way, if you have that much downtime, you're probably going to change equipment. Now, if you're in Dallas, we have a crew room that has sleep rooms. You can go to the sleep room. It's a dark room, comfy recliners, cold AC. You go in there and sleep, and you're good to go. If you're in like Dallas, you're going LA to Kansas City to Philly, There's probably no sleep room in Kansas City. Sorry. Do you have 2 or 3 different types of reserve at mainline? 2. Thank you, boy Cruz. When it comes time for your retirement, think you'll actually fully retire? Oh, I will absolutely fully retire. When I'm 65, I've been doing this job for 35 years. When I'm done, I'll be done. I'm not gonna buy an airplane. I'm not gonna come back as a teacher. I'll be done. In Delta hubs, the ramp controllers work for Delta and got their start in frontline airport ops. Thank you, Mr. Burns. And with that, I am going to be done. My name is Darren. I'm a dad. I am an airline pilot. I am a husband of a scientist. Wait, hold on. Last one, Mr. Snowman. What if my parents are nagging me about getting a degree? If it looks a waste, getting a degree, be paid for. It's rough. Yeah, that's it. That's it. It's paid for. If the degree is something you can use to make money in, I say go for it. My name is Aaron. My dad, my my husband, a scientist. I make videos about once a week on Thursdays about aviation. Also, random videos about my electric cars. Question? Drop in the comments. Like, comment, subscribe. Thank you for your support. Have a great day, and thank you for stopping by. Boo! And I gotta find the end with my really cheap